Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I'm your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and international best-selling author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 90 countries. So whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to us for some time, I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing, highlighting that transformational moment that changed our lives, and how we use it to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Just go to blogtalkradio.com/Life Transformation Radio, and you can hear our show. You can also join our Facebook group, Life Transformation Radio Community, and never miss an episode by subscribing where you listen to podcasts. Life Transformation Radio can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, Castbox, Himalaya app, the Google Podcasts, Pandora, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Life Transformation Radio, right there on YouTube. On the show, my guests are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing human beings that are impacting the world around them. And my guest today does exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, go ahead and give us a call at 657-383-1109. Again, give us a call if you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, Tuesday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network. 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show my guest for today, Sean Castrina. Sean, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Great to be on the podcast as well, the radio, whatever we're on. We're on a lot of things right now. It's great to be on it.
Man, I'm pumped to have you on the show. Been digging into your stuff. I love what you're doing. And I think we're going to have an amazing conversation today, not only because entrepreneurship and business is something that I find absolutely amazing and fascinating, but the fact that you have a podcast as well is going to play to our strengths. And although your show is 10 minutes, we're going to go a marathon here of another, 40 minutes. So I think it's going to be really, really fun having you on the show, man.
All right, let's do this thing.
So the title of this episode is 8 Unbreakable Rules for Business Startup Success with author Sean Castrina. Sean is a best-selling author of 8 Unbreakable Rules for Business Startup Success and the fictional tale, The Greatest Entrepreneur in the World. His new release, World's Greatest Business Plan, written for those who cannot afford to fail. Sean is an active entrepreneur and CEO, having started more than 20 companies in the last 25 years. He has guest lectured on entrepreneurship at some of America's finest colleges. He hosts the 10-Minute Entrepreneur, a top 10 business podcast on iTunes. He has a large social media following and is verified on Facebook and Instagram. He has shared events with Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, John Gordon, and others. You can find out what he's all about at the social media links right there in the show notes. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, his YouTube channel's right there, and on Twitter. Go ahead and click on those links. Send him a friend request, letting him know that you listened to his episode of Life Transformation Radio. Sean, the first question that I have to ask, and I believe is the most important question you could ever be asked, is why? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I mean, why I'm an entrepreneur, we'll start with that big why, is because I grew up poor and it's not very fun. And then I went to college on a scholarship and was doing everything the way you're supposed to. Had a college degree and was working on my master's degree and had my dream job, and then got let go kind of overnight with no warning. It didn't make any sense. There was like a leadership changeover and I was let go. And that kind of formed my why. And that I just knew that I would never be dependent on an employer for my income, my career. And, so that galvanized why I'm an entrepreneur, because I want to, if things fail, I at least want to see the iceberg in front of me. So that's just critical. I'm just, I want to have some control over my future, my destiny, my finances. I want to put my own team on the field. I want to follow, if I find a profitable idea, I want to have control over that. And, employment's great for some people. I have a daughter, she's a school teacher. It's great. My wife's a nurse. It fits some people, but me, I feel like I'm going to make you a lot of money if I work for you. So I might as well make it for myself.
Heck yeah, I feel the same way. I spent 20 years in the military, and I want to do me. And I've always had an entrepreneurial passion ever since I was in elementary school. And I had to just do what I wanted to do. I love to speak and train and mentor and the podcast and the business. I mean, I've held 4 businesses while serving on active duty military orders. And
that's
all
incredible.
All of them except for the one I just built has gone to multiple 6 figures. And the one I just built is an affirmation and empowerment T-shirt clothing line. It's going to be a full clothing line, but right now we just do T-shirts and like some hats and stuff. But I was going around looking for clothes to wear, like, well, I don't know, and so, in the summer, I'm like, dude, I want a T-shirt that represents me, so I just made one, and everybody loved it, and then I made another one, and another one, and another one, and pretty soon, Live Your Brand clothing was born. So the whole thing is like, live your brand. And I just think that that's what you're doing, man. You're just living your brand. You're self-aware, you understand, and you utilize the tools that you have to make that happen. I'm curious why people don't. I don't know if it's a scared thing. I don't know if they think they're going to fail and people will judge them. But there are some amazingly miserable people that go work a 9 to 5. And I just don't get it.
Yeah, because it's easy. It's things that people do things because they're easy. People do things because they're, that's all they've ever seen. And, typically you have to break the cycle of nonsense. If your parents were employees, like the old rich dad, poor dad scenario, somebody's got to break the cycle. My dad, Joe, he kept talking how he kind of came up with the idea for Jiffy Lube. My dad was a mechanic and worked in, in that industry. And I remember him talking about it, but of course he didn't, because he never took advantage. He never went forward with it. I think so many people, I call them, they're like barstool entrepreneurs. They talk about all the ideas they had, but they never went forward with any of them. They just never, they never took action on an idea. And people tell, I get DM'd all the time. I got this great idea. I go, ideas aren't great. Execution of an idea makes an idea great. An idea in and of itself has no value. It has no value.
True.
So yeah, you got to kind of move on it.
So I just wanted to let you know that you are a barstool entrepreneur.
Yeah,
that should be your next book.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and I just hear people talk all the time about what they were going to do and what idea they had that was so good, and it's just, I'm like, you got to do something with that idea.
Yeah, because David Portnoy created Barstool Sports, so and it's huge.
Yeah, he sold it for a fortune.
Huge thing. Yep. So, I mean, I think it's cool, man. Like, I was just thinking about how many times have you sat somewhere with some buddies? Wouldn't it be cool if, like, this happened? And, like, yeah, dude, like, you should do that. Like, I'm so going to do that. And then you woke up the next day and you're like, life as usual. Like, right?
Yeah, I mean, just people just they just don't take action on things. I mean, the big difference between, we all know this, but the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is successful people do the uncomfortable. They do what unsuccessful people choose not to do, and that's, that singularly is the difference. I don't think it's because
Yeah.
They're smarter. I don't, none of that. I don't think none of that has anything to do with it. They move on something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think knowledge is not power. I think that the execution of that knowledge is power. You can read every book in the world and you're really smart, but if you don't execute on the knowledge that you gained, I think it's pointless.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And people just, people just they think because they have a great idea, like that's the thing that I find funny. I mean, people literally will pitch me an idea and like, can I sell this idea? And I'm like, no, you can't. Like, no, execute on the idea. Or I love this when people ask me to give them an idea. No, I love that. I get 5 of those a day where they'll be like, I want to start a business. And I'm thinking, okay, now the heavy lifting starts. Come up with a profitable idea, get a proof of concept, do a business plan and move forward. But they don't like to hear the other parts of that. Like they literally think that I'm going to give them an idea that they can move on. I'm like, it cracks me up. I go, no, if I get a good idea, I'm probably going to move on it myself.
Right.
It's comical.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know about your transformation. The show's theme is all about the transformational moments that we all go through in life. And there's a lot of transformational moments. But is there one that sticks out to you that really transformed your life? Something happened to you and it puts you on the path to what you're doing today.
Maybe there's a couple things. One is that my brother is blind and I don't see really, really well. So, I mean, I'm at the very cut, like every time I go to get my driver's license, it's like I can't go, never go into DMV. I got to kind of go to my eye doctor and fidget around in the chair. And I've had like 8 eye surgeries. I had cataract surgeries in my 30s.
Oh, wow.
Which is, yeah. So I've been through, I've had detached retina, I've been through,
I've had that.
Through it all. So I was in the test study for implantable contact lenses at Johns Hopkins, you name it. I mean, literally, they write articles about my eyes, and that's actually serious. So, with that being said, I think I wrestled in college, and I think that I found that no matter what your weaknesses are, you always have a strength. There's something there that you have. I just think that's the way we're created. That for every weakness, you have a compatible strength that so much makes up for it. And I think you have to find out what yours is. I just remember being in gym class and they did like wrestling where they lined everybody up based on sizes and you went out there and wrestled and you just kept working your way up. And I whooped like the 10 people past me. And I kind of knew, okay, I can do this. And then, what it takes to be a state champion, I learned the sacrifice. So I think I learned that no matter what my weakness is, I could make it a strength. That like I didn't have to see you to wrestle you. Like if I took my contacts out, I had 2200 vision. So literally, I mean, I went into a Pearl Vision Center one time for an eye exam, and the guy said to me, it was too funny. It was an Oriental guy. He goes, "Sir, you can't see shit." Pardon my language. Yeah, but literally, that's what he said. It was too funny because it was not a guy who would ever curse. That's what made it really funny. He literally looked at me, and that's kind of what he said. And so I think that was kind of my, like, we all have things that they're just deficiencies. They are. Sure. But with that, there's always a correlating strength. And I think I learned that early on that, okay, find out what you can do. And then if you put all your energy into that, like, to me, I ran 5 miles every day because I figured my opponents weren't. So I just knew that if I worked harder within my area of strength, I think that's a key thing that people leave out. Example, I could have tried singing, but it wouldn't matter. I could sing all day long and I'd still be horrible. But I found my area of strength, relentless time and energy into that, and then succeeded at the highest level, paying my way to college. And I've rinsed and repeated that formula my entire life. I stay in my area of strength. I put relentless focus. The things that I'm not good at, I don't worry about. I don't try to work on things that I'm average at. If you're anything from a 6 down, I don't even pay attention to it. I don't put any time into it.
Right. I
So
like that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's where I kind of got it, because I could have been one of the, I had thick glasses and I could have been the person people make fun of, or, I had all those situations. I could have went to, I could have went to a handicapped school. There's so many things I could have done, and I did none of those, and figured it out and made a weakness into a strength. Literally, I'd wrestle guys in matches, like, state championships, and we'd go out of bounds, and everybody knew I never could see the score. And my opponents would say, I'd be like, "What's the score?" And my opponent would go, "Sean, you're up 4-1." Literally, that's how many people knew that I couldn't see, but I was really good. So it was just like, so you can make any negative into a strength.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that capitalizing on strengths is so underrated, and a lot of people try to be everything, and maybe that's what happens in business is, well, I've got to be my accountant, I've got to be accounts payable, I've got to be accounts receivable, I've got to be the marketing department, I've got to be the PR department, I've got to, whatever. And what I learned after building these businesses was one simple phrase: do what you do best, outsource the rest.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just capitalize on strengths.
Yeah,
because there's a million things I could do. I mean, just I don't know how you market your podcast, but I'll create headliner videos. Now I could sit there and create headliner videos for days, and I could totally, just market my own show and whatever. Or I could host the show and then have somebody else market it, who's like an awesome marketer. So yeah. I just believe that time and money are two things that people willingly never give up. So whether they're going to pay for something and get their time back, or they're going to take the time to do it so they can save money, not always does that work out. I can sit there and try to make videos all day, but I suck at making videos. That's why I have a videographer.
Exactly. I know I know what my giftedness is. I'm really good at partnerships in business. I'm really good at attracting talent, and partnering in business is absolutely my superpower. So I partner with people that have everything I don't have. I'm fully cognitive of my area of deficiencies. So I partner with people that it's a yin and a yang, and I've done that for 25 years, and I've make exceptional money. I have very successful companies, but it's not because I'm so brilliant. I have an area of giftedness, but I'm smart enough to know what I don't have, and I partner with people who bring that equal thing to the table. And I think that's probably been the one thing that I've been able to do that has probably advanced me further than any single thing. I always say, it's the idea that, hard work. Everybody says, hard work. Well, guess what? I can run as fast as I want, and I can run all day long. And if I'm running in the wrong direction, I'm still not getting to the finish line. So that's where I talk about being in your area of strength. If you put all your energy and focus in your area of strength toward a profitable idea, if we're talking about entrepreneurship, man, good things happen. But you can spend all day on a bad idea, and it's still a bad idea. So that's why I'm really big on finding, putting your energy on things that that are profitable and or in your area of strength.
Yeah, I love it. So how do you take what you know, what you love, what your area of strength is, and elevate the world around you? What would you say your process is?
I think my number one thing that I try to do is I love partnering. So I love, and I say this like when my wife, when we have a big holiday event, and I get excited because I tell her, I said, we're going to go into a room of people that, that I've helped make a lot of money. Like I take, average people that make $50,000 a year, and then they partner with me and they're making $250,000 a year, 2 and 3 years because they're partners. Yeah, they're partners with me in business, and I do it a lot. Like it's not a one-timer or a two-timer. I mean, I've done it, like more than 10 times. So that's what I like. I love that I can take somebody who got laid off from a job, and I know this person's, talented and intelligent, but he's 45 years old, been working for a place for 25 years, and he gets let go. And then I bring him into a business with me, and now he's making $250,000 a year. And so I love seeing that. I love his wife who comes up at the holiday and whispers in my ear, "Thank you so much."
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like business because business provides, something of value to the world, or nobody would be paying for it. So just, business in and of itself provides something good, because if it doesn't, nobody will pay for it. You're not going to be around. So business, just the very nature of it is a great thing. You solve a problem for somebody, you meet a need, you satisfy a desire, and or you entertain. So you bring value to someone, and if you bring value at a great level, people pay you well for it. So that's the idea. You can't rip anybody off in business. You will get found out. You know what I'm saying? Even Bernie Madoff. I mean, at some point, the gig is up. We've seen American greed. The gig is up. So I just love everything about business. I love the fact that I get to bring something of value to a customer. So that's the concept. I have to find something that brings value to a customer. Now I bring partners in, which I love. So I got to find somebody. I got to recruit somebody that doesn't know they're as incredible as I think they are. And I bring them in on the ground floor, and then we create this business that meets the need of a customer. And then it turns into, multi-million-dollar company. Everything about that I like. I mean, you can hear it in my voice. Everything about that. Yeah, everything about that. It just, I think, is incredible. And it's just, for a person who grew up fairly, poor, I grew up in about an 800 square foot apartment, and, I'm in a 9,000 square foot house where I'm sitting, and it has 10 bathrooms. And my garage looks like, Jay-Z wouldn't mind having the cars in it. So, the point, and that's just pure entrepreneurship. I've provided value to customers. They have paid me back through paying very good prices, and I brought partners in and rinsed and repeated for 25 years. So I think
love it, man.
Yeah, it just works. It all works. I have 20,000 happy customers, and thus I have business partners that are happy. And then, of course, it allows my family and I to be generous and do some amazing things that just, we're able to give at just an extraordinary level. I love when people, talk about the piety, like money. Like people say, well, why are you in business? I'm like, to make money. It's like the most generous people in the world. If you look at them, they're all entrepreneurs, like the biggest givers in the world.
Yep.
Okay. Every building named for somebody, every stadium named for somebody at a college is because that person gave the most amount of money, and it's always a business owner.
Yep.
Have you ever noticed that?
Yep.
It's always the biggest giver, and he's always, or she's always, an entrepreneur. It's never a surgeon.
Yep.
It's never it's a business owner. It's an entrepreneur.
It wasn't a lawyer.
Never.
It wasn't a It wasn't a lawyer. It wasn't. Man. Yeah, so freaking true.
Forbes 400 list. I went through it.
That are named after.
Yeah, everybody on the Forbes 400, every single one of them, is either an entrepreneur and or an heir to an entrepreneur. And anybody there that's in the medical profession, it's because they were once a doctor and then got out and started a company within the medical profession. Literally, I did a spot by spot research, straight on down, and it's all business owners.
That's awesome. I had Jeff Hoffman on my show. Do you know who Jeff Hoffman is?
I don't, but he sounds like a great guy.
He definitely is, and he is the founder of Priceline.com.
Okay.
And him and I spoke at an event, and we met, and I was in awe, because literally, I mean, just meeting the guy, I'm like, wow, is such an honor, and like, oh my God, this is so amazing for me, and I know who you are, and he's like, oh, well, what can I do for you? I'm like, this is it. He's like, no, like, seriously, what can I do for you? $1 billion? I don't know. I'm working on this one thing, and I got my show. And he said, well, tell me about your show, and he's like, I'll be a guest. I'm like, holy crap! And then in talking with him for an hour, I understood what he was doing. And he said the same thing that you just said. He goes, always give without expectations. Look for opportunities to give because you never know what's going to happen. Most people are like, yeah, I'll be on your show. Like, how many listeners do you have and what kind of things can you get? Like, I asked the guy from, what's his name? The Millionaire Next Door, that guy.
Oh yeah, Millionaire Next Door. I got this book, right? I got his book. I know, and I got his book's too far away because I can't read it. I'm blind, so it's too far. I've got it. He did The Millionaire Next Door and The Millionaire Mind. Yeah, he wrote both of those.
Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't remember his name, but yeah, I asked. Like, I read his book. I was like, this is awesome. Like, let me reach out. I reached out. How many listeners do you have? I think I've got about 30, 100,000 downloads or whatever. I mean, my show's live, so yeah. I just get a live count, but I've got probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever. Like, well, when you have 50,000 listeners on your show, and I was like, yeah, no thanks.
That's how I feel. That just turns me off. And I had the same thing when I launched my podcast. I mean, my first month I had 5 listeners. Now we basically grow at 50% a month. And I'm like, that's why I don't, I look at the people that went on when I've had the most, it's so funny that you just say that because it's so genuine. I've had people on my podcast that I'm in awe of, and they never asked how many followers I had or how many downloads I had. And it was before I was verified on Instagram or any of that other stuff. Just amazing people, because great people try to advance other people. They just do. The best people I've ever been around are like, when I get ready to get off the podcast, they're like, hey, what can I do for you? Yep. This is so kind. Like, how can I help you? They know that they have a platform that could advance me, one phone call, one connection, further than I could advance myself. And so I have that same thought process. And I tell all my guests, like, if you're ever on my podcast and you ever need to bounce one of your business ideas, because I interview founders, typically lots of founders, and I'm like, I'm there for you forever. And I have founders reach out to me all the time. They'll be like, Sean, I just want to bounce an idea off you. Like, because I'm outside their world. So they love that they can, just give me your first thought on it. Or I'm thinking about doing this. And I do that now all the time. I do it for free because I love it. And I think that's, I don't know. I think as you succeed and all that, it's a generous spirit. Most successful people have an extraordinarily generous spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they understand how the game works. And maybe game is, maybe I say universe, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, we understand the abundance mentality. I think that's the difference. We understand that the more you give, it just comes back. I said this to my wife one time because I give away a lot. Like, and it's funny, like in my phone right now, I have a person running for like Congress who's left 3 voicemails. And I mentioned that I kind of gave some money, and I told my wife to give other. She goes, why do you give away, whatever, because she's not quite as generous as I am in that regard. That's not her strength. And I said, I can't explain. I know it. And I explained to her, I go, but I can't explain it. My bank account keeps getting bigger. That's what I tell her. I go, we keep giving at a crazy level, and all I can tell you is we have more money this year than we had last year. I can't explain it to you, but I'm like, honey, we've been doing this for 20 years, and our bank account keeps getting bigger for 20 years. So I'm going to keep giving away at a reckless, crazy level.
Yeah, man, I was, what was it, 3 months ago? Probably 3 months ago now, right around like beginning of summer. And I was telling the wife, I was like, man, I really want to do this deal. Like, oh my gosh, if I just work with this person, like I know I can help them. Because they said I need 1, I need 2, and 3. I was like, 4 things. Got it. That's exactly what I do. And they're like, well, I'm almost positive that I can make you a ton of money. Like, I know exactly what you need, and it's exactly in line with our core values. And so we had this conversation, and if I could just get this deal, like, it would be so cool. So we go out and we go on a dinner, and we just had an amazing time at this one restaurant. And I said, I'm going to tip her good. Like, I'm in a really good mood. Like, I'm going to tip her super good. So I gave her a $50 tip, right? $50 tip.
Yeah.
And she's like, God, that's a lot. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, she was awesome. She made us laugh. It was great. It perfectly. Like, it was so good. Like, it was just a good time. Like, I really felt like I was in a generous heart, right? It's fine. It'll come back to us. Like, don't even worry about it. And so all of a sudden, like a day or two later, an email, they're like, hey, I heard you do this. That's part of our business. You know, we create, launch, and monetize your podcast, your book, your speaker career. Like, we do all that. Yeah, I'm really looking for someone that could do that, and I totally want to hire you guys. That's awesome. Great, awesome. Cool. Like, okay, well, that's awesome. And then all of a sudden, it was another one, and another one, and then, like, that deal that I really wanted came to. I mean, it was like a minimum $20K a month. That
it's
month,
energy.
And I just looked at her. I was like, see.
No, I know.
And it's not even with expectation. It's just I feel it.
I tell her the same thing. I'm like, listen, I joke with her about it. I go, listen, you're an incredible person. I said, but giving away money is not something you're good at. I said, it just isn't. I said, let's just accept that. But the good news is I make, the lion's share of the money, so I don't have to do too much explanation. But we have figured out what we know is that you can't outgive. If you give, whether it's information, I have given a business idea, business plan, everything. I gave it away to a person who just got unemployed. This was like 15 years ago. And, the person ended up doing incredible with it. I just literally handed him a business that I was going to start, but I'm like, I didn't really have the time to do it. I barely even knew this person. Somebody asked me to have lunch with this person to just try to give him some encouragement. And I literally just gave him a business, just handed him a business plan and said, this will work. I have vetted it. It'll do well for you. Didn't even know the guy. It did great for him. And you know what? I haven't missed it, and my bank account still looks okay. So it works.
Super cool, man. Yeah, we've all seen, like, The Secret. We've read the books, and we've done this, but I'm telling you, when something like that happens, it's an amazing feeling. And then what's even better, you serve that customer or client, and in turn, the same thing happens. Reciprocatory life change happens. That's why I'm in business, man. If someone's listening right now and they're like, I don't know, man, I'm on my last $100, and all you can think about is, what can that $100 do for me? I think you're missing the point. I think that I think at least 10% of that, or even a quarter of that, could elevate someone else's life. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at what happens after. Yeah,
like the quick illustration of that in 2008 when the bottom fell out, and one of my companies was a home in the home service industry, and I went total counter to what you would think. I gave away 2 free hours to senior citizens. So basically, it would cost me about $170. It made no logical sense. It was a depression, and I was going to give 2 free hours to seniors. I ended up within 1 week getting the biggest job we ever got as a company. They didn't even it was the biggest job we ever got and took us all the way through the year. Didn't make any logical sense. Some older couple literally gave us the biggest job we had ever gotten, and within a week of doing a 2-hour free giveaway. So I literally I could go on and on this subject.
Well, so who Joe Powell is? He talked about that a lot in his stuff, and he's like, part of the marketing would be for a carpet cleaning business would be here's, you get one 3x3 space or one carpet cleaning demonstration and teach them and give, value and it'll come, and it just reminded me, like, you have 2 free hours, no obligation, and people see the value right then and there. And most people I just laugh. I don't say anything. I just laugh. And I see it all the time on social media. They'll say, yeah, I would love to pick your brain, whatever. Like, awesome, X amount of dollars. And I just laugh. I'm like, oh, man, you don't even know. Like I've had lunch with people. Like, I want to pick your brain. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk, right? We meet up. I was at a speaking 30-minute, 45-minute lunch, He puts it on social media. Oh, my gosh, I learned more in 40 minutes than I did in the past, 4 months. It was amazing. I have clear-cut direction. Boom. And he, touted me on social media. And I said, oh, thank you so much, man. The lunch is great. You bought me lunch, and I gave you a free, 1-hour coaching session, whatever.
Yeah.
We followed up since then a couple of times. All of a sudden, somebody says, hey, my friend had lunch with you, and I was wondering if you could coach me. I'm like, well, what are you working on? A conversation with that person about this. And good. And like, oh, man, I'd really love someone to execute that for me and work with me on that. I'm like, I can do that. That's absolutely what we do. So we can do that. Boom, contract, done, signed, paid in full. Off of somebody who I gave away for free, who gave me pretty much a testimonial. I didn't even know he was going to do that. And then got a client. So, man, you just got to give.
Yeah, when you're confident in your ability to generate money and you don't live in fear of running out, like if you really believe that you can create, you can earn good money, and I think that's what just does it. Like I just know that I can, I have learned the game of making money. I have figured that one out. There's some other areas I definitely need to get a lot better at, but learning how to make money, I can definitely move the pieces around the board.
Love it. I'm hoping to get there. I mean, 2004 was my first business, and then 2007 was our peak, and then we bottomed out in 2008. A lot of it was me, abusing alcohol, and I basically got bought out and was excommunicated from my own business that I created. Just people that had in place, they were like, you got to go, and just bought me out, and now they own everything. But I got to get there. That's my goal. I can pretty much see how they should be moved. I just need to not be the one moving the pieces and really teach others and build teams to move those pieces. I can see how it should go.
That is the secret. The secret is this. Yeah, that is a secret that I have learned early on, is set up a business as if you're not going to be in the business. That's the challenge. But when you can do that, then you can constantly rinse and repeat and do other businesses. People always say, Sean, how are you involved in so many businesses? Because I'm not the hub of any of my businesses. I don't get in the way of that wheel moving.
Right. Yeah, I got to get better at, because like we said before, right, capitalize on strengths. And I do. And I've got 4 or 5 members that I go to for different various things. One of them is a freelancer, and I got 4 people dedicated. I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's rock this thing, And then I've got a couple joint ventures kind of spread out here and there. But every once in a while, I start teetering back. And then they got to be reminded, yo, man, stay in your lane. I'm like, you're right. You got this. I'll just be over here, because I want to, this is what I do. I wake up and I'm like, oh, that's I saw a billboard, had a mask on, and a dentist said, perfect time to get braces. That's all it said. Phone number, email address, or whatever it was, website, whatever. But it was on this billboard. I was like, that's awesome marketing. If you're afraid to get braces, don't worry about it. You're wearing a mask. So perfect time to get braces.
Yeah, that
brilliant
is funny.
marketing.
Yeah, that
brilliant
is
marketing. And that's what I wake up in the morning and I see these things and I'm like, oh, that would be a great marketing. Oh, that would be cool for that. Hey, that would be cool for that. My wife asked me the other day, hey, man, I'm about to get my cosmetology license. Are you up for building another business? I'm like, oh, let's do this. Like, I want to create, I want to launch it, I want to monetize it, and then I want to walk away. Like that. If I could just have a business that just creating and launching and then monetizing, go, here you go, and just handing things over to people, I would love it. My life would be fulfilled.
That's kind of what I have nine businesses and that currently, and they're all because I partner with people. So the secret is partnering, but that's, it's finding the right people and all that. It's a challenge, but like I said, it's the one superpower that I tend to have.
Love it, man. Hey, what I wanted to do right now before we close is I want to talk about your 8 unbreakable rules for a business startup success. People that are listening to my show are entrepreneurs and business owners, and they're really looking for something else. They're always told the same thing over and over again. There's always a business like solve a big problem and do all these other things, and make sure you take out a Facebook ad and make sure it's the same. It seems like it's the same thing over and over, and sometimes it doesn't work for somebody. So, someone like you who has been 25 years in the game at work doing it would love to talk about your 8 unbreakable rules for business startup success.
Well, we can run through them super, super quick for your audience.
Man, I'm up for it.
All right, here you go. First one is know why you want to be an entrepreneur in the first place, because it's heavy sledding. So it's the why thing. You need to know why you want to be an entrepreneur. So when it gets crazy difficult, you don't quit. Number 2 is so important is that you got to run with a profitable idea. And we get so fooled by passion. This passion is an overrated word, I'm afraid to say, and it's really an entrepreneur's mistress. Because I love golf, it doesn't mean I buy a golf course or start a driving range. Run with a profitable idea. Vet it, test it, beta test it. That's so important. You got the idea is you got to run with a good idea, and that's critical. That's the illustration I gave, where you can run 100 miles an hour in the other direction and still never have a profitable company because it was a bad idea from the beginning. Number 3 is, you got to have a business plan. And I believe it, that people put more time into planning their vacation than they are on the company that they want to build. And then I'm big on, you hear me talking about partnerships. Well, I protect myself, corporations and legal agreements and patents and trademarks and partnership agreements. So that's one of my unbreakable rules, because somebody walks away from your business early, it could be very painful. One of my business partners walks away in the first 5 years. They don't get a penny. Okay. That's how I build. That's called protecting myself. Okay. Next is you got to build a successful team. You pay peanuts, you get monkeys. Put money into staffing. You got to hire talented people. Your business is only as good as the people that toil around there with you, that are working with you. Number 6, marketing is not optional. I use the illustration we talk about, like word of mouth businesses. Budweiser sells beer, and every one of us knows that. But they'll spend like $20 million during the Super Bowl to remind you that they sell beer. Okay?
Yep.
Because good companies market. Number 7, know your numbers like a kid knows the back of a baseball card back in the old days. I could tell you the stats on all my favorite players. As a business owner, you got to know your margins, your costs. What does it cost to run your business per day, per week, per month, per year? What generates all your leads so you're not wasting money on I am a savant with numbers. I get a spreadsheet at the end of every single day between 4:30 and 4:45. I could be anywhere in the world, and it gives me key metrics so I can see problems before they become a problem. I get to see the trends and go, I see something going wrong. So that's number 7. And number 8, it's so big. You need to learn from experiences. In other words, you don't keep doing, when you make a mistake, okay, it's a failure. Learn from it and move on. You got to learn from mistakes and learn from other people's failures. That's why you read good books. And I always say failure is best heard through a secondhand story. Get mentored, read good books, improve yourself. You can't just be the same level a year from now that you are today. You've got to constantly be improving as an entrepreneur. You got to constantly be getting better. And so that's a really I gave you the escalator version.
Yeah, man. Love it.
Yeah, but
Love it.
that's, and you can get that book for free on my personal website. I'm not even selling it. So not only did I give you the 8 of them, but you can actually get the book for free. And it was a bestseller, and, tons of New York Times bestselling reviews and all that. So you can get it for free on my website at SeanCastrina.com, and you can read each of them a little slower.
There you go. Perfect. And such, oh my gosh, so many issues already, that I see with some of the stuff you mentioned, like the business plans and, the spreadsheets and know your numbers. And I mean, there's so many things that I see that people are not doing that you just nailed. So amazing. This conversation absolutely lived up to everything that I thought it was going to be and more. Thank you so much for spending time with us today on Life Transformation Radio.
Hello there.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for being an amazing guest. This absolutely lived up to everything that I thought it was going to be and more.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to be on the podcast. It was a lot of fun. It went much faster than I ever imagined, and I so appreciate it. And as I say to everybody that I connect with, if ever you need to bounce a business idea off somebody, you have my email address. So you reach out to me. I look at those, and I'm always available to you.
Again, thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Life Transformation Radio listeners, you too. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest impacting the world around him. If anything has resonated with our conversation today about the 8 Unbreakable Rules for Business Startup Success, or the conversation that Sean and I have had today, please reach out through Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. You can email him on his website, Sean Castrina. Go to Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, right there in the show notes. Connect with him, letting him know that you listened to this episode of Life Transformation Radio. With that, I close the show by saying, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.